I don't think I know any farmers that haven't had some kind of run-in with the wolves. You know, I'm constantly worrying about the safety of them and if I'm going to lose one of them.
These cows and many others in Wisconsin are in danger, and it's because of wolves in the area.
I don't think I know any farmers that haven't had some kind of run-in with the wolves.
Livestock has been part of the Soyring family farm for around 120 years, but in just the last 10 years, wolves have become an issue.
Last year in 2023, we received a total of 115 complaints. 80 of those were verified to be caused by wolves.
The Soyring farm is in Maple, Wisconsin, which seems to be a hotspot for livestock predation.
Northwest Wisconsin, Douglas County, Bayfield County, that by far has the highest rates of livestock predation by wolves in the state.
We had one year where we had 26 calves either confirmed killed or missing due to what we can best assume is the wolves. This last year we had 5 confirmed calves and we were missing 11 calves total on the farm.
Even the presence of wolves in these ecosystems is problematic.
I mean, it causes a lot of stress to the cows. They don't grow as well, they become nervous. I estimated this year all my calves were 50 to 100 pounds lighter than what they should have been. And they've done studies that prove that wolf stress on cattle causes lack in growth.
One example of a study that was done was from the University of Montana in 2014. According to research, ranchers with a confirmed cattle depredation by wolves had a loss of approximately 22 pounds on the average calf weight across their herd.
And at the end of the day, that can cost me $15,000 to $20,000 for the amount of animals that we sell.
Claims don't go ignored, with the DNR and USDA partnering to investigate.
Generally, we do investigations the same day we receive the complaint. The sooner you can respond and investigate, the fresher the evidence is, etc.
With coyotes and bears all hunting in the same area, agencies try to figure out which predator is to blame.
They all have different signatures on how they kill prey or domestic animals. You know, so we're looking for evidence of like that, tracks, scat. So we look for bite marks in key locations on the carcass where we can measure the distance between the canine teeth. We're also looking for bruising and hemorrhaging, indicating that when that carnivore bit that livestock animal, it was alive.
For farms with confirmed wolf predation, the USDA and the DNR work with farmers to scare wolves away from cattle.
You know, we use flattery, scare radios, flashing lights, you know, depending on the severity of the conflict, maybe actually having an employee on an ATV with a forward-looking infrared and an air horn at night, hazing wolves off of the farm.
The flags, they get used to that, and several months later they're going underneath the flags. The lights didn't seem to bother them after about a month or two, and the radios work well for a short period of time, and then we've seen it where the wolves are actually chasing the cows while the radio's on within 100 yards of the radio.
Those tools can become ineffective for preventing wolves from depredating livestock. Through some grant funding and a congressional appropriation that we received several years ago, we started building wolf-proof fences on chronic farms.
But these fences are costly and cannot go just anywhere.
It's in the neighborhood of $8 to $9 a lineal foot to build one of these fences, and then you have to have the right site. We don't have the funding to fence every producer that's having wolf conflicts. So every year we do an evaluation on who's having the worst conflicts, where they're at, and we do a site assessment to look at the feasibility of actually constructing a fence.
One of these fences was recently put up at the Soyring farm.
So this is where the cows will have their calves. This way they'll be safe from the wolves when they're having their babies and when they're really young.
So far, this 6-foot high woven wire fence with wire skirt underground seems to be the best non-lethal method to keep predators at bay.
So we have those on 6 farms right now, and so far, those have been 100% effective at resolving conflicts for animals within that fenced area.
I feel very confident about this fence. I was actually extremely excited when we were able to get this put in. We left it open for a while, and we had lots of wolf tracks on the outside, and we never had one on the inside.
These cows are now a little bit safer because of the fence being put up, but there's still quite the wolf population in the area. Wolves have been around northern Wisconsin since the mid-1980s, but tracking them has been a challenge.
It's done every winter. We have a volunteer tracking program where we have a number of survey tracking blocks throughout the states and try to determine the number of individual wolves. Population here has been pretty stable, anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 wolves seems to be our overwinter count. And I do want to stress that is an overwinter count, and that's certainly at a point where the wolf population is at its lowest level.
Even though they're causing problems in northwest Wisconsin, population control methods are limited.
It's illegal to kill the wolves or do any harm to the wolves.
So to control the wolf population, there's not much we can do at this point in time. They're in Wisconsin, a little bit different than Minnesota. Minnesota, they're a threatened species. In Wisconsin, they're endangered species. So what that means here is, in Wisconsin, we don't have the ability for any harvest season, and we don't have the ability to implement any lethal control in response to conflicts, whereas under the threatened status, there's the ability to implement lethal control at conflict sites.
Many are pushing for delisting wolves from the federal endangered species list.
We're supportive, the DNR supporters of an integrated conflict program, and that includes both lethal and non-lethal controls, so there's not much we can do about that until we get a delisting.
I understand that the wolves were natural to this area, but I think that the management needs to be done a little bit better to help accommodate farmers and people. I mean, the area and times have changed, and it's a lot harder to cohabitate with the amount of wolves that are in the area.